Hi Holly, I've looked over your lesson plan and here's my feedback. First of all, this is really cool. I love how you're getting them to delve into and deal with complex ideas. And I'm a big fan of the graphic organizer, but I have never seen that, like ideas, from moving through a complex idea that you have in those blue squares. I'm totally stealing that from you. That is way cool. So there are a couple little tweaks on here that I think can help you, kick this lesson plan up to the next notch. Let me show you where, okay? So I notice here that that they just came out of a unit on argumentative writing, in which they learned Toolman, and so now we're moving into writing a paper on complex ideas, okay? Good. So, right here, so you have them begin by writing, defining what is a truism, right? And then go ahead and, I want you guys to explore ideas that you think are true. So I think that's good. I think it's high interest. You're listening from them. What do you think to be true? What do you think to move those in? Which one of those do you think are valid to move into truisms? The place I want you to, right here, okay? So after the kids have all written down their truisms, like their 10 things that are most important, okay? Then you say we're going to look at turning these into full sentences by asking yourself, what's one surprising thing you learned about it, okay? I want a transition piece in here that harkens them back to their argumentative writings. Because say, okay, I've read through your entire lesson plan. I know where you're going with this. I think this is brilliant to build this kind of a lesson plan on top of your argumentative writing. Students won't naturally see those connections. That's not true. Some of them will, but lots of them won't, right? So say, okay, last week they just came out of argumentative writing. They come into class on Monday and this is what they're doing. And it's super cool because the teacher wants to know 10 things that I think are totally important. Then, if right here you provide a transition where you say to them, peek at the people's, papers around you. Does everyone have the exact same 10 things written? Well, yeah, some of them are the same, but some of them are different. Okay, so now here's the goal. How do you defend what is most important to you, knowing that it's not most important to someone else? What kinds of skills did we just talk about last week that might help you to do this? Rev their brains up and have them dig back into Toolman structure, argumentative writing, classical, all those things, and go, oh my gosh, we already have a whole bunch of argumentative skills, and we already know how to structure this stuff. Right, exactly. So, as we move forward and look at turning these 10 things that are important to you into statements by asking this question, I want you to know that where we're headed with this is building the ability for you to defend what you know and believe to be true, even if those around you disagree. Because that's the thing that moves us into being complete and whole human beings, because I know what's true and I know how to articulate it so that I am much more resistant to things like peer pressure. I'm much less susceptible to things like propaganda, all those things we've been talking about all year long. You have the ability and the skill to be true to yourself. That's where we're going with this. Who's ready to move this into the next step and make them full sentences so that we can defend them? Okay, do you see right there how you took this really cool thing that you're already doing? Truisms. What's true to you? How do you turn that into thing that's true to you? How do you structure it? And you moved it into this this thing, this really meaningful thing for them that, especially look when you're talking to 8th graders, they so desperately want to be independent. They so desperately want to know who they are and be able to defend themselves. And so many pieces in society knock them down from this. People say, you're still kids, be quiet. You don't have opinions that matter. You haven't had enough life experience, all these kinds of things. Just knock them down all the time. And here you are saying, I can give you the skill to help you stand up to those things, right? So think about how that's going to sound coming from you and get that in right here for a transition piece so that as you move them into this stuff and as you move them into this really cool, so fine, you've got the statements now, how are you going to, organizational strategies and everything, think about the power of the kids delving into that. And if you have a kid who's like, whatever, this is stupid, think how easy it is to redirect them and say, oh, I'm sorry, which of your ideas did you think are stupid? Well, no, not my ideas, this activity. Oh, okay, so you would not like to defend your ideas to someone else? Well, okay. I mean, come on, there's such obvious answers to that. This literally becomes a lesson plan that negates the need for classroom management. So beautiful. I love it. Nice job.